We're going to start off with the mayor here in just a moment. Want to be out of here no later than 7:15, okay? Because they have to close everything down the last few minutes and then lock up and secure the building. So at this point, I'd like to introduce, thank you. At this point, I'd like to introduce Mayor Gillage. And he's going to talk about the bond issue. I'd asked him to spend a few minutes on that. And I have a handout that I will be passing out to you.
Thank you, Councilman Tisdale. Appreciate it. And I touched on as well as we're going to talk a little bit about the bond, but and he's got a couple of different looks at it. But bonds are usually done, when the interest rate is right, and we're looking at things that we got to do, and road and bridge, and some of these other things like air conditions and HVAC systems that are wearing out over 15 to 20 years of a lot of these buildings, especially in this building, or at the Civic Center, or at the Gruage Center. Those things are wearing down, and people who use that facility, need everything to work properly. So those are, I provided a list up here, and real quickly, we were considering, about $20 million of things to be done. And there is, I've got 30 copies of this list. And generally, the easy things to kind of explain, some of the things like road and ditch and those kinds of infrastructure repairs. And there's a significant number of these things listed here. But that totals of the 20 million, about $11 million of things like ditches, repaired ditches and infrastructure, road and bridge and widening projects. Some of the things, as I mentioned, you look at what you can do, what are the resources you need to do, and a bond is a way to actually finance something. We're experiencing, I guess, inflation. And every year you delay, I think it costs us 6.5 to 7 or 8% per year. So if it's something that it takes a while to design and actually do, it's better to actually put it in motion earlier. Pay for it now if you can, outrun the inflation. So if you put something, if you wait to have the money to build these projects, it may cost you more than it would to go, engage in a bond and then do these projects. So, a couple of ways to look at what we've identified. Engineering has developed this list as we started considering. And again, I said I've got 30 copies of this up here. But of those road and bridge infrastructure qualified projects, is about 11 million, 12 million of that. Now, one of the good things about that, we've got a revenue stream that is actually almost like sales tax, but anything that you buy over the internet, we call it the internet use tax, but it's actually for, I think, the Mississippi Infrastructure Modernization Act. So there's a revenue stream, about $5 million a year, that's coming to us based on what, instead of buying it at bricks and mortar store, you get it from Amazon and some of these other things. So there's a revenue stream that the state, through this MIMA Act, you can qualify and use these funds to build these kinds of projects. So of that 20 million, about 12 million of that, 11 point something million, is for those projects. We're experiencing some of that inflation and some of the challenges in just the Pops Ferry extension. I mean, just over the 3 or 4 years it took to actually pull the trigger, and we used some MIMA funds for that. And it's rolling along pretty good. We're, hopefully by the end of the year, maybe first quarter of 27, we'll be driving on that road. But we experience a lot of that inflation. So that's this bond consideration is to outrun what we need to do. Looking at up until 4 or 5 weeks ago, and the war and some of the things that we're in the middle of now, and then we were anticipating sort of a lower interest rate. So we're going to look hard and long at what we pull the trigger on, or if we pull the trigger, until things settle down. But each list, we've got 2 ways of looking at this. Again, some of the HVAC, some of the improvements are listed here. That would be not only mine, but also from a bond fund. Again, there's a number of projects that we may, I guess looking at just the public safety. We've got about $3 million worth of roof and rare repairs to some of our buildings. So we're looking long and hard on how do we get these things done, because the longer you put it off, the longer you get, the more it's going to cost. So I think with the right trigger we pull when the numbers are right, as far as interest rate, we'll outrun that little delta on where we can do it now, or we can wait, and it'll be costing 7 or 8%, maybe even 10% more. So that's a load. It's a lot of stuff we talked about. But really, I want to say one other thing too. We're fighting, and Walt will be getting into this in the infrastructure. We had a visit. Councilman Shoemaker and Councilman Jamie Creel went to Washington, and we had some sort of good news in that we have now the head of FEMA is a Mississippi person, from Vicksburg, Mississippi. So we engage them in this continual battle with FEMA to get what we need as far as some of the infrastructure repair projects. So just wanted to mention that. But bottom line, the bond is a way to actually get these things done that we just can't put off, or we shouldn't put off, when we can actually finance it at a lower rate than inflation instead of waiting, if that makes sense. Yes, ma'am?
These are big municipal bonds that people can invest in.
Some of them, yeah, we're borrowing money in that way. But again, the source of repaying it comes from two things. Actually, not a GOB, government obligation bond, is where we actually, you pay 30 mills to the city of Biloxi. About 8.4 mills of that is for debt service. Okay, so a mill is worth 750, 800. That grows too.
But to get people to invest in those mini bonds.
They will be doing that. That's right. That we will sell those bonds.
That is interest rate. You're talking about interest rate coming down.
Well, we don't know that. We did, like I said, up 3 weeks ago, we were anticipating 4.1, maybe 4.2 percentage rate. Against inflation, at least 6.5. If you Google, it's 6.5 or 7% per year. And if it's infrastructure and anything based on petroleum now, it'll take a big leap. But bottom line, that was if there was a delta on let's do it now versus waiting, and it's going to cost 7 or 8%, maybe more. But yeah, it will be municipal bonds. It will be a debt. Okay, but two ways to look at what we were trying to do is using some of that revenue stream that's committed. Instead of sales tax, it will be internet use tax. That's what it's called. We're diverting 15% from the state of Mississippi for that. So that would be these kinds of projects qualified. There are strings on how long you have to do, what you have to do, and it qualifies in how long you have to do it. So in this list that I supplied, there's actually an estimate from engineering on what the cost is and how long it would take to bid it, how long it would take to actually construct it. So they give you some information. But yeah, it would be a debt, but the service of the debt will be coming from two sources. I think internet use tax as well as municipal bonds. Now, again, over the years, some of this bond millage falls off. So, we could just, without touching the number of mills dedicated to debt service, that would be a way to look at it.
But how people will be able to buy these bonds or invest in them, right?
Yes.
From out of state or whatever. Because I've bought mini bonds in the past.
Right.
And they usually pay a higher interest rate.
Tax-free too, right? And that's a big thing. Now, another good thing, we're the only, Biloxi is the only AA minus rated municipality in the state. So it's, the situation is right to do these things. Let's get it done.
Any voters that need to vote on this, or who's going to pass it?
No, I think the council will make the decision. Again, there'll be a number of reviews, and the bank, the land bank, I guess, is who will be doing this. So our bond attorneys will, once we decide, and I think we've already decided that it won't exceed $18 million. It can always be less than $18 million. So I think but to do $18 million, everyone, at 4.2%, the debt service is $1.2 million a year. Okay? So, get it done. Good words, get it done. Anyway, any other questions or thoughts? But that's my little 2 cents, and there's the list here. I got 30 copies of it, and Dr. Tisdale has his list with some polling, I guess, some opinions on where, but it shows you where the project is and how long it will take to do it. So,
Well, what's the timetable on issuing these bonds, and
well,
is it gonna have to go to a public vote, or is
No.
where everything stand?
no. Well, there's a petition out there, and I think, I'm not aware of what the situation is, but I think there's a petition, right? And I think the legal folks are going through whether that, whether that had to be an election issue or not. But bottom line, I hadn't even thought about that, but bottom line, if you've been in business, debt is part of business. And inflation, what do you do, when do you do it, is what's driving this issue. And I think, first of all, we got to decide on what is important to the council. And again, this is none of my projects. This is the projects across every ward that needs to be done. And believe me, it could be $30 million. But bottom line, I think we're locked in. Again, it's very simple to look at it and say 10, 15, 20, but I think we're locked in not to exceed $18 million. And there's already been bond attorneys have appeared and said this is for consideration. Now, I think we got to go 2 to 3 months at the land bank in order to move forward with it before you sell the bond. I think probably July would be trigger time when we got to lock in on what it is. So our next step is to determine, hey, what is the amount? What do we want? These are the projects. Again, engineering and you'll see what will be considered. These are the items that will be considered. So, thank you. Appreciate it. Any other questions? Okay, y'all easy. Happy Easter. Happy Holy Week.
Run, Forrest, run.
Soccer time. Soccer time.
Thank you, Mayor. The handout that I gave you, all right, that's the handout you're looking at. This is a handout that I drew up a number of weeks ago. All right, and I just want to review it just very quickly. Columns from left to right. That first column is a line number. So if you want to refer to a specific project, just refer to the specific line number. The bond funds for the project. If bond funds are used for some, all, or any of these projects, this is the amount of the bond money estimated for those projects. It's just an estimate. The next column is the engineer's cost estimate. What would it cost, the total cost, to do these projects, each of these projects individually? And then you see a description of the project. Then you see 3 columns on the right. One is the mayor's rank. Several weeks ago, I asked the mayor, rank these projects, what's most important? So there are a couple on there that he's rated as 1. He's ranked as 1. I think there are 2 that are ranked as 2nd, and then everything else is rated 3rd. And then you see the council tally. So several weeks ago, I met with each of the councilmen individually. We were talking about projects that we'd like done in our ward. Okay. And we had a master list that we compiled. And then I polled each of the council members, spoke with them and said, which of these do you think we can do or are of a priority that need to be done? So wherever you see in the councilman tally column, there was a majority of the council members that would support those particular projects. Okay. Now, you heard the mayor talk about a use fee. It's the Mississippi Infrastructure Modernization Act, MIMA, because he mentioned 2 sources of funding to pay for these projects. One was a bond issue, and the other was money from the state, which comes with strings attached. But the money's generated, that revenue is generated from online sales tax, okay? And then that money, when it's collected by the state, you buy something from Amazon, anything online, the state's getting their sales tax out of it. Then that's distributed based on, there's a formula for that per capita. So we get, it's about 2 checks that could vary anywhere from $2 million to $2.5 million. So figure about $4 or $5 million during the year. We get a check like that every 6 months. The sales tax for some reason drops. We're not going to get that much in the next check, okay? So when you look at these projects, if we're looking to whittle down the amount of the bond issue, the bond money that we want to, the bonds that we want to issue, we've said that we could bond up to $18 million. We could also bond $10 million or $8 million or $12 million. It's going to be whatever projects we all decide somewhere down the line when we have to make decisions. And then we'll look at the amount of the bond that we would need to get these projects done. But I also think we should take into account some of that MIMA money, all right, that last column that we get from the state. If you know you're getting $2 million every 6 months, I don't know that you want to spend it all or have it going out the door as soon as it's coming in. But we could do some of these projects with that money and not use bond money. I don't want to spend a whole lot of more time on it. I just wanted you to understand, the mayor talked about a list. I didn't know he was going to bring a list. This is what he gave me tonight when he got here. If you want a copy of this list, I think there are 30 copies up here. Happy to give it to you. Everything on this list is also in this list. This just has a few additional things. And again, I put this together a couple of weeks ago. I would also point out that this is the only public list that's been out there circulating. I just figured if you hear about 18 million and we're going to borrow money, and some folks froth at the mouth and other folks say, well, it's about time we got stuff fixed. But if anybody had asked you what's going to be done, you wouldn't have known because there wasn't a list anywhere. So that's why the list is out here. Yes, ma'am.
So the petition that went out, are you saying that this bond will not be up for public vote?
With the signatures are being validated, okay, or verified, and at some point, if it meets the threshold, then an election will be scheduled. It's not scheduled yet. I don't think they've validated the signatures. And if it does, it's no problem. We just schedule an election. There'll be a cost for the election, whatever that is. It may be in conjunction with another election, which could be 3 months or 6 months from now. So right now, we don't know. But if there is an election, you'll have an opportunity to vote on it if you're a registered voter. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Just the same question. Do you know the timeline of when the signatures will be done?
I do not. I do not. Wish I could tell you. I don't
And
know.
who's doing that exactly?
Who's validating the signatures? That would be the municipal clerk, who's in City Hall on the second floor. She also runs the elections. And for those in the school business, you always had to worry about state testing. Elections gets the same response at City Hall. Everybody, everything's got to be perfect. And we hope it is, and usually it is. Okay. The next thing I want to do is I want to introduce the Rogues Gallery back here. If you just wave. In the far corner, no clapping for the Rogues. In the far corner, Anthony Marshall's councilman in Ward 2. Next to him is David Shoemaker in Ward 7. Next to him is Wayne Gray in Ward 1. Next to him is Mike Nail in Ward 3. And then Kenny Glavin in Ward 6. Jamie Creel's not here tonight. I know he's usually working on Tuesdays. I'm sure that's where he is right now. Okay, but I wanted to clear that point up. If you want a copy of the mayor's list, it's yellow and red. It'll be up here. You can get a copy before you leave. All right. Next, I'd like to introduce Pamela Manners. She is the Ward 5 representative on the tree committee. Just wave, Pam. You can get up or not, whatever you want to do. This is America. And Pam has worked with Pam in the past, and she is very credentialed. If you have 10 minutes after the meeting, seriously, 10 minutes, she would share those credentials with you. But appreciate you, Pam, for serving. It's a 3-year term, and I think you began in December. Was it January? In January. Okie doke. Next, we have a beautification commission. Put committee down here, but it's a commission. I apologize for that. Commissioner, not Commissioner Gordon, Commissioner Creel. If you'll come up, you can talk about the beautification commission. Pass this out for you.
All this brain power up here at this table and back there, I am so impressed. I want to thank all of you for being here. I'm Vincent Creel, and I am the secretary of the Biloxi Beautification Commission. And so this commission, Paul told me to come up here and talk for 10 minutes about what this commission does. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to speak about 5 minutes about what this commission does and how it's something that's relevant to you and to the city in which we live. The commission they like to tell us that it's a commission that has no money and it has no authority. So anything that this commission does, I think will kind of like be a miracle with no authority and no money. If you look at what the ordinance says on this commission, in order to make adequate provision, preparation, adoption, and revision of the city plan to guide, direct, and coordinate the beautification of the city in an orderly, efficient, helpful, and economic manner, there is hereby created a commission to be known as the City Beautification Commission. So when you hear that, you think it's a real powerful commission. But when you look at what its power really is, that's where it comes into your life and how it can make the city a better place. The Beautification Commission shall advise and coordinate with all city officials, agencies, and civic groups with regard to the development of a comprehensive beautification plan, and shall conduct citywide educational programs and anti-litter and cleanup campaigns in coordination with the proper officials, and the commission shall advise and coordinate with the building official with regard to all housing code enforcement. So there are 6 of us on this commission right now. We've been meeting twice a month since November. What have we been doing? The key thing we've been doing is, like it says right there, draft a comprehensive plan. We have put together this comprehensive plan, and we're going to be presenting it to the members of the city council. We hope that they will look at it. We hope that they will share it with the directors and with the administration and with the public, and we're hoping that's something that will become city policy. What exactly does this plan say? First, we tried to keep it real simple. I mean, it's beautiful when it's simple. It's 3 little pages. It describes what the city's responsibilities should be. It describes what your responsibility should be as a property owner, as a business owner, and quite frankly, as a citizen of this community. And it's nothing really tough. It's stuff that's already on the books. And one of the things we've been focusing on is trash cans. Make sure you bring your trash cans in at the right time. Make sure you bring them out at the right time. If you can do that simple thing, it's amazing the impact that it will have on your entire street. It's amazing the impact it will have on this entire city. When you have trash, like limbs and so forth, that you want to have picked up by the city, the simplest thing that you can do is bring them out right in front of your house. And if you put them right in front of your house, the city has a contractor that comes by your house 3 times a week. They come by to pick up your garbage, they come by to pick up your recycling, and they come by to pick up this trash. Under the contract, if it's in front of your house, they pick it up. If you choose to put it on the empty lot across the street or in front of the empty lot next to you, that means that the city's got to dispatch a special crew out there, which is going to cost more money, and it's going to cost more time. So these are the basic things that we're asking you to do as citizens. And that's what our charge is, to how we can inspire people, how we can educate them, because we can't expect the city to do it all. It's got to be something that involves everybody in the community. And that brings me to the second thing. Our code says that we're supposed to come up with anti-litter campaigns and educational efforts. And I want to say that today in the newsletter, we have our 3rd one. And this right here is something that we feel is so valuable to communicating with the city of Biloxi residents. This is what your trash can is supposed to look like most of the week. Bring it in so nobody can see it, so we'll have a beautiful streetscape. We talk about location, location, location. That's the part about bringing the trash right in front of your house. So those are the educational aspects. Anti-litter, what are we doing there? We've given you something that not a lot of people have seen yet, and that's the draft of this comprehensive plan, beautification. If you will look at it and consider what some of the locations are that either your church group, your civic group, your family, or your business might want to adopt one of these areas. And there are some responsibilities that come with it, signage comes with it, and really it just helps make our city a more beautiful place. Those are the things that I wanted to tell you tonight about the Beautification Commission. Cannot thank the Biloxi City Council enough for the support and the idea to resurrect this commission, which actually goes back to 1975 under Jerry O'Keefe. Came forward through Gerald Biloxi, and I think it died somewhere under Mayor Holloway in the wake of Katrina. But for them to step up and bring this back and show that there is a focus on beautification, and we think it's important, that's a big statement. We appreciate it, and we thank all the directors too for everything that they do. Appreciate y'all being here.
Perfect. He worked hard for that sparse applause. I want to sneak in a few quick announcements because I'm likely to forget them before we leave. First of all, BeConnect. Okay, if you have any issue, concern, observation, pothole, a curb that's damaged that needs to be repaired, traffic signal that's not working, anything of that nature, grass on the right of way that's too high, you can email BeConnect, the letter B and the word connect is one word, BeConnect at biloxi.ms.us. I'll read it again. BeConnect at biloxi.ms.us. Or you can go to the city's website. There's an online form that you can complete. It's there. In fact, it's there on your agenda. Or there's a phone number you can call. Okay. I would encourage you to use that. If you call me and say, I've got a sewage line that's exploded in my front yard, I'm going out to take pictures and I'm emailing them to BeConnect at biloxi.ms.us. So if you want to take the pictures and save me 2 minutes, you can do that. If not, you want to call me, I'm happy to do that. I'm out and about most of the time, so it's not a problem. The other thing I want to bring to your attention, do you remember B-Alert, which was a traffic messaging system and emergency alert, things like that? It was hacked, I don't know, probably 6 or 7 October. So we've not had that messaging service since then, but we do have another product that is, I don't know if it's in yet, but when it comes in, it's got to be installed. Folks have to be trained, so we may still be several months from that. So if you're looking for Bee Alert, you hadn't gotten one in a while, and here I am at the Pops Ferry Bridge, and where's that Bee Alert? The bridge is up, it's not coming. Now you know we don't have one that's functioning, but we have another one on the way. Let's see, I want to mention there's a Planning Commission meeting this Thursday at 2 o'clock at the Community Development Building. And there's going to be several public hearings, and one of them deals with a location at the northeast corner of Atkinson Road and Pops Ferry Road. Most of you know it as the Bertucci property. There's an eye clinic in there and a dental office and so forth, but there's going to be a public hearing for a proposed convenience store with gas sales at that corner. So it's a public hearing. If you're interested in that, I know some of you are, you've already contacted me. I go to almost all of those meetings, but it's an opportunity, since it's a public hearing, for you to speak on the matter, either in favor or against, or ask any questions that you have. So just be aware of that. Let's see, B News. I got my B News today in the mail. You may have gotten yours yesterday or today, but in there's a survey. In one of the pages, several pages in, it's a B News delivery survey. Last I heard, this was going to be the last hard copy you would receive in the mail, that the future issues would be posted online, but mailed to you. A quarterly copy or quarterly edition would be mailed to you. I think somebody did the calculations, it's about 34 cents a copy. It doesn't go to everybody in Biloxi, it goes to households in the city of Biloxi. So if you're an advertiser, hey, if you want to advertise in there, it goes to every household in Biloxi. Some of you, if you're not familiar with it, this is what it looks like. It's always, 24, 32 pages, calendar, the whole 9 yards. So it may disappear, it may not, but there's a survey inside. You can let them know how you feel about it, okay? All right, I think that's all that I have at this time. Walt Rohde, for lack, I can never remember his title, I just call him the Infrastructure Project Manager for the City of Biloxi. I think after 10 years, he pretty much accepts it regardless of what his title is. But you know, we have several FEMA projects underway. Some are just about to wrap up, particularly the one along Highway 90. I know Walt has an update on that, and there may be other projects that affect you if you live somewhere in the city. Walt, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Good evening. Thank you for coming out to the Ward 5 meeting. The update here on the infrastructure. Of course, I give a monthly VTV video interview updating the infrastructure. If you watch the council meetings, I'm usually asked by my council members an update on the monies, make sure we're getting reimbursed properly from the state, MEMA. If you look to my right, your left, you can see the maps of the city of Biloxi. One shows the different ward areas and the colors of the different councilmen, which are their ward designations. And if you look closely, you can also see where the infrastructure projects were or are ongoing throughout their wards. The next map, the bigger map to the right, is an overall view of the city of Biloxi and all the construction projects related to the FEMA funded infrastructure. That is the FEMA infrastructure that was damaged by Hurricane Katrina. Everything in green that you see on that large map are projects that have been completed. And the ones that are in an orange-red color, those are to be completed by second quarter of this year, including the BEA project, which is in Councilman Tisdale's ward. That's the one that's been going along Highway 90 between the Bees Road and Veterans. The contractor finished the last of their paving last week. They're buttoning up some small items. We'll do a punch list walkthrough with the contractor. That's where we go through. We look at any minor items the contractor hasn't completed and they need to button up. But both the BEA project and our St. Michael's project should be wrapped up second quarter of 2026. Our next project we are pushing to get out to bid is what we call the Project Rod 9. That is a project primarily along Highway 90. It's about a $35 million project. That's going to be replacing the water, sewer, and drainage along Highway 90 between Veterans and St. Paul. And I guess another quick point is, we get a lot of questions or comments from people up in Jackson or DC when they hear about we're still doing the infrastructure program. Hurricane Katrina hit August 28th, 29th, 2005. We did not get approval from FEMA until the first and second quarter of 2011 to start the infrastructure. The first infrastructure project, Notice to Proceed, was May 2011 in one of the tiny areas up to the north, NOB project as we call it. So since May 2011 until today, the city's been nonstop repairing all the infrastructure. It does seem like a long time, but you're having to replace water, sewer, and drainage, while the existing water, sewer, and drainage still has to provide water, sewer, and drainage to the residents and businesses and casinos and things of that nature. So it's very time consuming. It'd be great if you could do it in an undeveloped area, but reality is it's just a slow process. You have some narrow roads, some deep sewer. You just got to be very careful, and it just takes time. So again, the first infrastructure project did not start till May 2011. This makes year 15. We'll be wrapping up those two that I mentioned along the BEA and the St. Michael's, and we'll have two left. And one of those we hope to put out for bid second quarter. There we are. So any specific questions I might be able to address or answer?
What percentage of the work has been done and still to go with two?
I don't have my calculator here, but if you see on the upper right-hand corner, we have completed $321.1 million as of March. There's about $6 million in construction in the two projects that are going to be wrapped up second quarter. So that brings me up to 327, 328. And we have about $111 million worth of work to do, with one of those being that $35 million project. So 321.1 as of March 2026, 5.9 million under current construction, which should be completed, like I said, second quarter. And then we have $111 million worth of work in the remaining two areas. In the remaining two areas, the number is high because FEMA estimated all this infrastructure was originally estimated and approved by FEMA in first and second quarter 2008. Then by first and second quarter 2011, they finally gave the city the blessing to go forth. They never accounted for inflation or cost escalation or any of these factors that you would have thought would be a natural consideration. So that is part of the work that the administration and our council members have been doing up in DC, is to try to get the funding to wrap this all up from FEMA.
What they originally approved it for?
Originally it was $344 million in 2008, which seemed like a very large number back then. It's a large number now. But this was the only project in the state of Mississippi for Hurricane Katrina that FEMA refused to apply the cost escalation factors, which accounts for inflation. And that is part of the struggle, the administration that we've had with FEMA, trying to get them to reconsider that concern that they never account for. In the state agency, MEMA, who's the grantee, we follow whatever their direction is, and they follow whatever direction the FEMA regulations are in. They agree with us. They're fighting with us to help fight against FEMA, to say, hey, we need some help here. Any other questions? All right, well, thank you, everybody. Take care.
Thank you, Walt. I did want to remind you, if you've not signed in, please sign in. There are several sign-in sheets over there, and just so I'll know who's here, you may need an alibi on the way home tonight. But anyway, if you would, and I put out a weekly e-blast. I know some of you get it, some of you may not get it. It doesn't cost you a cent. You get it every Saturday morning. but I can't send it to you if I don't have your email address. So if you'd like to get it, sign in on the sheet, put your email address by your name, or at the top of the agenda, you have my email address. Just email me your email address, and I'll add you to the distribution list. And if you don't like it, or it's a waste of your time, just tell me, remove me from the list, not a problem. All right, next up we have Jamie Lee. Mr. Lee has been the Assistant Director of Parks and Recreation for half his life, I think, and now he's the Director. So we'll see if the head that wears the crown grows weary yet. We'll see. Jamie, thank you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. How are you? Don't really have a whole lot to go over, just kind of what's going on citywide, but just also want to talk to you about this wonderful facility you're sitting in your ward with the Snyder Center. It has so much to offer. It's a multi-purpose facility. I know a lot of people just think of it as a senior center, but it has so much more to offer. We have basketball, of course. We're taking the night off due to the meeting tonight next door. Mr. Tom and Ms. Dion there put on a wonderful pickleball program we have going on throughout the week. Upstairs, we have a workout area, which includes a workout walking track, some elliptical machines, some treadmills, stationary bikes, and also a small weight room. For those of you that did not know that. We have a pool, a couple pools actually, a lap pool as well as a therapy pool located past that hallway right there, as well as some racquetball courts. We always have constant senior activities going on here, whether it's the Tai Chi program, the Stretch and Strengthen. We host monthly bingo. Upstairs, you can do some puzzling, some senior activities up there, or just activities, I should say, upstairs. So if you're interested in any of those, please see our front desk attendant before you leave, and she will give you more information on those. Just to kind of reiterate on what Dr. Tisdale was talking about, our citywide grass schedule started this week. So it's kind of going to be a learning process for all of us to get those different areas down. Different departments, divisions are working on some different areas, but we hope it's something that will be able to deliver a more efficient, timely grass cutting schedule throughout the city. So please, if you see our workers, thank them, appreciate them, slow down around them, just wave at them. That goes a long way. I think Councilman Glavin saw a few out there working today around his area. So please be mindful of that when you're traveling through. If you see something that needs to be reported, like Dr. Tisdale was saying with the Bee Connect, that helps us tremendously. It's been a huge success so far. It's just a way to keep track of things that need to be done. You know, when you make a phone call, sometimes the information doesn't always get relayed, but at least with this program, this process, it is being written down, it is being tracked through a program, and it allows it to get to the right department, the right division, the right person to help get those issues taken care of. And he did mention, as well as the email, you can also, you can also call this number as well if you want to report an issue to our call center. Of course, that has to be during regular operating hours. So if it's something, you know, early morning, late evening, you may need to still choose to do the email option or the website. But the number is 228-435-6271. And that way they'll go through the same exact process with them creating the service request. It goes to the work order, and then hopefully the work will be complete pretty quickly. We just began our baseball and softball leagues throughout the city at the sports complex. Our Challenger League Special Needs is beginning tonight as well at Todd Miguez. We just completed our citywide Easter egg hunt this past weekend at Pops Ferry on Saturday with the special needs hunt on Sunday. The weather was beautiful. It was a great success. We had plenty of people out. It was really wonderful, especially with the weather. I'd like to also announce that for the first time in a long time, this Friday, all 4 of our splash pads will be in operation. So anybody, if the weather's warm, want to go visit those splash pads, We have one at Point Cadet. We have one at John Henry Beck Park. We have one in Hiller Park, and we have one at Margaret Sherry. All 4 of those will be open this weekend. And you know, things happen. So if you get out there to one of those splash pads, it's not working, report it to the Beacon Neck. You know, that way, as soon as we get back in the office, we can get somebody out there and hopefully get those issues taken care of. That's all I have. I'll take any questions if anybody has any. All right, thank you. Happy Easter.
Thank you, Jamie. I appreciate that. This time, Nick Geiser, you didn't bring your trusty assistant with you. Yeah, how many trusty assistants do you have? You only have one. Wes, tell him I said hello. Anyway, I wanted Nick to mention to you, he does this periodically, about a smoke detector program that they have for you.
Good evening. Most of y'all, I've seen y'all's smiling faces. Of course, like Dr. Tisdale asked, we still do the smoke detector program. It's always available. Quick call, 435-6200. They take down a little bit of information, mainly how many bedrooms, bathrooms, how many people live in the house, that sort of stuff. Of course, the address. They make sure they verify that you own the house, because you do have to sign a little bit of a liability waiver just in case we come in. Our guys aren't the most gentle all the time, but they will come and install. They're very good at what they do, but every once in a while, some of these big meatheads, bump into something and might knock over a vase or something along those lines. So, but they do those. If you know of any neighbors that have any kind of disability as far as hearing, seeing, anything like that, there are specific, so like a bedroller type deal. So, obviously the loud noise that wakes most of us up with the smoke detector doesn't necessarily help somebody that has a hearing disability. So we have other ways of doing that. So, please pass that along to your friends and neighbors that are in the city of Biloxi, that we can handle that also. Carbon monoxide, also another consideration. While we don't have a whole bunch of carbon monoxide detectors, we can come and advise on where to install that sort of thing. So we don't mind helping with that. Other than that,
Does it cost anything?
absolutely not. No. So free of charge, as long as you're the owner of the house and you're a Biloxi resident. Let's see. Other than that, just to give you some quick little statistics. And we are constantly hiring. So daughters, sons, granddaughters, grandsons, nieces, nephews, the whole shooting match, please send them our way. We are always accepting, well, I say always, every once in a while HR decides to shut them down and we got to call and request again. But most of the time, we are accepting applications. Every even month, we are testing the physical and the written. And just to give you, put it into perspective, we are an apartment, count myself and everybody in it, mechanics, the ladies that help us in the front office. We have 181 positions, roughly 163 are shift, the guys that work the shift, battalion chief down to our brand new guys. In 6 years, we have hired over 100. So we are constantly churning them out. The workforce is a little bit different than it used to be. So we are always in the market for new and energetic, and that the ones that are coming are very, very energetic. Hopefully the Pafford EMS, our new ambulance services, I say new, it's been around for a little bit over 2 years. All the data that we are looking at, that they are sending us, is, for lack of a better term, amazing so far. I know there have been some hiccups, in those 2 years where a bad address comes in, but overall, they are maintaining, typically on any given month, under 8.5 minute response time. And to put that in perspective, and that's for priority 1 and priority 2, and that's priority 1 is of course life-threatening. Priority 2 is like a traumatic, broken leg, things like that might not kill you, but you're not real happy about it, that sort of thing. And it's always, you know, and they're still covering priority 3s, 4s. They cover all the way to the point of coming and picking you up and getting you to your dialysis, appointment and getting you back home. And, of course, that's like a priority 7 or 8 because it's not life-threatening to an extent. But in that, so they're maintaining for priority 1 and priority 2 about 8.5 minutes, probably a little bit lower. 2.5 years ago with our previous provider, I was having to report to the mayor about every week, anywhere between 15 to 25 calls where our crews would stay on scene for 45 minutes or more, waiting on an ambulance to get there. That being said, we started a movement then when we had our current provider to bring more paramedics onto our trucks. That way we could provide better care. And through those efforts, we have had a explosion. In fact, we've got 5 paramedics in school right now. We've got 3 more that have signed up. Gulf Coast Community College has grants that we're actually not having to come out of city funding to send these folks. We wish we could send more, but staffing limits us on how many people can go to these classes. But all said, once we graduate these 5, we should have approximately 15 paramedics, and we space them out accordingly throughout the city. So most likely, if it is a life-threatening or a very traumatic injury or illness, you're going to have a paramedic show up at your house even before, and then Pafford, our partner, is responding just right behind us a lot of times. Sometimes they're beating us now, and I know that was a unheard of thing a few years back. So at that point, that's pretty much all that I can bore y'all with. Any questions for me? All right, Doc. Yes, sir.
Next, the Director of Community Development is Mr. Jerry Creel. And he's here. I've asked him to speak about development in West Biloxi, particularly in Ward 5. West Biloxi could be anything from the Broadwater west, depends on who you are and how long you've lived here. Anyway, Jerry, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tisdale. As you know, we do a lot of things in our department. Economic development, planning and zoning, floodplain management, the CRS program, historic preservation, contractor and business licensing, building permits and inspections, stormwater management, code enforcement, museums and cultural affairs, and tree preservation. And probably as a caveat, anything else where people don't know who to call, they call our department to talk to us about it. We deal with the public probably more than anyone in any department. And most of the time when I have to speak, every 6 months, this is a presentation that I do, and every 6 months I update this, to show projects that have recently been completed, projects that are actually under construction, and projects that are in the review and development process. And there's a lot going on right now. Dr. Tisdale told me to keep this under control, time limit, so I'm going to just run through a lot of the projects that we got going on that you may be interested in. Specifically in Ward 5, we have the Petty Boy townhomes going in, which there are 62 new townhomes being built just off of Eisenhower. We have the Briarfield Apartments, another phase of the Briarfield Apartments being built on Briarfield Avenue. There are 30 units involved there. Serenity Shores Apartments, that's 3 stories and 45 units. This week, we received the site plan for the new hotel that's going to be built at Gateway and the Service Road on Beach Boulevard. If you're not familiar with where that is, this is the road that comes off the Service Drive that goes back to the hospital down on this end of town in Ward 5. And that's going to be a 4-story Residence Inn by Marriott. It'll have 112 rooms. So we received the site plan today. We should be getting the building plans very shortly, and that's going to be a very nice project. 2 large hotel developers that we deal with a lot have partnered together to build this, so it's something we'll be proud of. The Lost Garden Villas are the townhomes behind the convenience store at DeVees Road, and they've just about finished up with those. I think they're actually working on the last couple of those right now. Excuse me. The big question we get all the time is about Chick-fil-A. Everybody wants to know, what about Chick-fil-A? We expect Chick-fil-A is probably going to start in the next 2 or 3 weeks. We have the site plan, the landscape plan, the building plans have all been approved, and I believe what's happening is they're finishing up the Chick-fil-A over in Ocean Springs, and they're down to the parking lot right now, and my guess is as soon as they get through with that, they'll move over here. So we're ready. All they need to do is come in and pull the permit, and they can go to work on that. We have a new seven brew coffee shop. We're going to have a new Chase Bank there in front of Rouse's. We believe this may be the first Chase Bank in Mississippi. We haven't confirmed that yet, but we believe that may be true. The new wedding venue down on the south side of Highway 90, the expansion to Shaggy's, the new apartment complex called the Current Apartments, 144 units next to, between the cemetery and the Ocean Club condominiums. Several of those buildings are already complete, and we've issued COs for the first several buildings. They're still finishing up in the rear of that property. Of course, the new cyber structure at Keesler has framed out with their steel, and that's going to be moving forward. That is a big, big deal for the city of Biloxi to have that here. The Thomaston Medical Facility, you probably heard about this and wondered what was happening with it. It's on West Oak Lawn Lane, just off of Shriners Boulevard. They came in this week and submitted plans. They want to go ahead and get started with the first 2 buildings. The first building is going to be a pain management center, and the second building right behind it is going to be the Pine Belt Dermatology. The unique thing about what's happening here with this, these buildings will be totally solar generated. They'll be 1-story buildings, about 9,000 square feet each, and they'll have solar panels on the roof to supply their needs. They will have an emergency electrical backup supplied by the power company. They'll also have a covered parking area, which will also be solar. They're going to put in some charging stations for electric vehicles, and phase 2 will be the boulevard that they're going to put in there. They expect to have 6 or 7 buildings total in this complex, but this is going to be a big deal for us as well. Of course, the new Shark Heads downtown, we're probably going to start on that within the next month or so. A new Comfort Inn and Suites in front of the Flamingo Hotel, a new convenience store that's under construction right now at Pops Ferry and Jam Lane. The Cristiano Boardwalk houses are still being built. There's going to be some major renovations to the Motel 6 that will completely change the look of that structure, and a new health facility on Beauvoir Road. Subdivisions, we have subdivisions going in everywhere. You know, people are coming from other states to Mississippi and coming to Biloxi. We can't build these houses fast enough. We got single-family houses, we got townhomes, we've got apartment complexes going up in different parts of town. I won't get into those for the sake of time. I will tell you this, that since Hurricane Katrina, we've issued over 2,800 permits for new single-family houses in the city with a total construction valuation of over $500 million. So that shows you how well single-family subdivisions are going. As far as, I get asked a lot about the Keesler Federal Credit Union building where they came in and got the zoning change a while back. We haven't heard anything from them. The zoning change was approved. We're basically waiting on them to move forward, and we haven't received that yet. You probably saw in the mayor's State of the City address that our permit totals for 2025 were over $50 million more than they were in 2024. Now, that is for new construction. That's not renovations, that's not additions or anything. New construction increased $50 million from 2024 to 2025, which is a very good economic development sign. We also had our 58th month in a row where our sales tax revenues exceeded $1 million, and the average during that 58-month period was $1.25 million. Also, property revenues. One of the things about subdivision, people say, well, why subdivisions? Subdivisions provide a very stable tax base for the city. You know, we build more houses. Right now, you've got a vacant piece of property out there that's zoned agricultural, and someone is probably paying the minimal amount of taxes because there's no development on it. But you divide it up into 200 lots, you're getting land taxes on each individual lot. You build a house on it, you're not only getting the land taxes, but you're getting the improvement taxes, the building improvement taxes, and you're bringing someone here that's actually going to add to the economy by doing shopping here. Subdivisions are tax revenues that you can build realistic budgets on. It's not something that's up or down like sometimes commercial is, but someone is going to be living in that house from year to year, and someone's going to be paying those taxes. The last two things I want to bring up is our flood rating and our building department rating. We are tied in Mississippi. You know, every building department is rated based on their activities that they take on to reduce the risk of flood. We are tied for the best rating in the state. We're a 6, and there's only one other city in the state that is a 6. Also, we have a building department rating of 4, and these are on a scale of 1 to 10. And the flood rating and the building department rating are calculated based on different information. But we have one of the best ratings in the state. We are rated at a 4 for our building department. So just like the fire department has a rating of 2, I think that's maybe one of the best in the country. We have a very good rating for flood and for building, and we're working every day to do that. What does that flood rating mean? That flood rating means that if you have a flood insurance policy and you live in the flood zone, you should be getting at least a 20% discount on your flood insurance policy. If you have a policy and you live outside the flood zone, you should be getting at least a 10% discount, and your flood insurance policy should show that the discount is due to the activities that we're taking on with the city. And so I'll cut it off there and answer any questions you might have. Yes, ma'am?
Okay, when you were discussing the chip bill that's supposed to be coming to be built here within the next, a couple of weeks here, or they're going to be getting started, they have leveled the ground, I noticed, but who has done a traffic study for that, and they're seeing how much control of that would be affected? Because I know there were a lot of residents that lived off that Hilton Road, which runs alongside.
Nelson
Road.
Road.
Yeah, Nelson Road.
Okay. What Chick-fil-A did, they actually designed this project to make the traffic circulate within the property. That's one of the reasons. There'll be 2 lanes that will run through the property that come in and come around and order the food and pick it up on the other side. So they tried to do that. Also, because it's in the Rouse's parking lot area, there'll be accesses. Now, we talked about this before, and I'm going to be honest with you. You know, the buses come out of there, the school buses come out of there. Yeah. And if I'm at Chick-fil-A and I see school buses lined up, I'm not going anywhere near that traffic signal. There is a study going on right now about that intersection to try and make improvements there so that Nelson would more closely align with Beauvoir. We can't make it exactly aligned with it, but engineering is going through that study right now. So I saw a hand over here.
Mine was basically.
Same thing, Chick-fil-A? Okay.
Is that bank going in like in the parking lot?
It's going in the parking lot next to that gas station on the corner there, at the corner of Pops Ferry and Pass Road.
Okay, so we're adding another business in the parking lot, and then we're thinking Chick-fil-A is going to go through that parking lot? That's going to be a lot.
Well, there are lanes in the parking lot to follow. You know, all of these projects, let me just tell you, every project that we have, commercial project that's new, goes through our development review committee. And we have representatives on that development review committee from every department that has to do with development. The fire department is there, the engineering department is there, the community development department is there. We also have a representative from the tree committee there. And every one of us is looking at the development from our particular discipline. And we each address whatever's going on there. And so if the property is zoned correctly and they're not generating any variances, then the DRC committee signs off on it and we can move to the next step, which is building plan review. If it comes to DRC and it's going to require planning commission review and approval and city council approval, the DRC can't sign off on it until it actually gets through that process. And once the council, if they approve it, it comes back to DRC and then we sign off on it. That's the way the process works.
So when the bank goes in, what about that? I mean, you've got a entrance off Pass Road, there's, two of them in that lot. So is that an entrance, are they gonna go down to one entrance into that lot off Pass Road?
There is, I don't remember seeing anything on there that closes any of the entrances going in and out. Let me double check that. I'll text you tomorrow and make sure.
Trying to see, you've got those two spots, there's one you go in by 7 Brunel, and there's one closer to the gas station.
I'll get you a straight answer on that tomorrow. I'll text you. Okay, let you know.
What's the timeline on Chick-fil-A?
Chick-fil-A moves very quick. One of the things about this particular Chick-fil-A is that it's going to be what's called panel construction. So it will go up very fast. I would guess probably 8 to 9 months. Don't quote me on that, but that would be my guess based on what's happening. They want to go ahead and move in and start getting the site work done so that when they bring in the panels, they can go together very quickly. Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Robert Smith is in the engineering department. Christy Labata, I know it looks like Levitar, but it's French. And half the family pronounces it the French way. The other half pronounce it Levitar, but it's Labata. She can't be here tonight, so I'm not going to pronounce her name anymore. Robert Smith is the sorcerer's apprentice, so he's here to fill you in on these topics. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tisdale. I'm speaking for Christy. She's also the Director of Public Works as well, so I'll briefly go over the engineering summary, then I'll go over her Public Works summary as well. One thing, though, that the council, Dr. Tisdale, and this administration has done, they haven't fully combined back engineering and public works, but we're working a lot closely together than we ever have because it's the same director, and also they've helped coordinate that better with other departments. One of the public works points are, for the first time ever, Parks and Rec is helping with the citywide grass cutting. Before it was, for the longest time, it was a lot of confusion and kind of a cluster as far as by the parks. Parks and Rec would say, oh, well, we cut in the park, but we don't cut by the street. And Public Works would say, well, we cut here and there was some areas that were up in the air. This council administration has kind of stepped in and said, hey, it's one city. Y'all need to figure out how to work together. And Jamie is with Christy. They've coordinated a grass cutting plan where Parks and Rec is basically over the west side of town and Public Works is over the east side of town, and there's a schedule where they cut streets based on priority, the major thoroughfares being a higher priority than the off streets that people don't drive on. Those get cut twice as much, and so they're running through a pattern on the major corridors getting cut twice as much as the minor ones. And then also they're coordinating together, like if Parks and Rec says one week, hey, this area grew too fast, it's getting more nutrients or whatever, making the grass, then we're adjusting that plan accordingly, which I think will really help the beautification of the city. That's something that probably should have been done before, but it was more kind of just firefighting when people called, hey, the grass is high here, why aren't y'all cutting it? We would just stop what we were doing and run and cut that grass. Now we're still taking those calls and addressing those, but we're trying to stick to this pattern to prevent chaos. And jumping over one area, then another area doesn't get cut. That was just a real inefficient way of doing things. So that being said, if you do call and complain about grass getting cut, we're going to take the complaint and we're going to cut it, but it may not be the next day. We're not going to jump off what we're doing to just go cut grass because somebody complained. So as far as the roles of the department, engineering, we're over plan review and project management for the entire city. We review plans for both public projects and private developments with which Jerry Creel's over. That goes through community development. They review the building side. We review more of the civil side. We assist them in that. As far as project management, we manage private developments that will give assets to the city at the end of the job. For example, subdivisions. No developer's gonna develop a subdivision and then promise to keep the roads for eternity. That just wouldn't be a good business model. That's not really done anywhere in the country. So when they develop a subdivision, we set strict standards on how thick the asphalt has to be and rules that they have to follow if they want us to accept the roads for city maintenance. So we oversee that and make sure they follow those rules and don't stick the city with something that's gonna deteriorate too fast. Yeah, sure. And then the second thing we do is project management, which Dr. Tisdale wanted me to focus on that because currently we do have a large project going on in y'all's ward, and we just completed one. We completed the Bay Vista water well, which will significantly improve the firefighting capacity in this area. The majority of our water lines and wells, if you don't know, about 90% of that capacity is for firefighting. Domestic use is very small percentage, so we have to size our lines and wells almost 10 times the size of just daily usage for the ability to fight fire. So that project in particular will particularly help our firefighting ability in this area. Then the second project that also will help that is the Bay Vista water line replacement job. Most of those lines in that neighborhood were 2-inch and 4-inch before, which is basically just enough to serve daily use, not really much firefighting capacity, and there was very limited number of hydrants in that neighborhood. So we've upgraded those all to 8-inch on the side roads and 12 and 16-inch taps on pops and pass. We're trying to wrap up that project. It was due to be complete in a month, but some of our some of the lines on pops and pass were put in before GPS, so our locations were off a little on that. So we had to make adjustments on those, which is going to add a little to their timeline. It shouldn't add too much. We should see that project wrapping up by probably mid to late summer. And so they did the pass road one other day. Y'all may have noticed some of the lanes were closed, so just try to be patient with them with that. They have to do a little more work over there, but shouldn't be much on pass, but they'll be doing the same thing on Pops Ferry in the next week or two. So there'll be some major lane closures on Pops that, but we'll put out an announcement on that. These other ones on Dr. Tisdale's list, we're still seeking funding for, well, I'll talk about Pops Ferry Extension in a minute, but Edgewater Estates, that's basically the same thing as Bay Vista. We're trying to replace those lines with newer and larger lines. that's one of the projects on the bond list that we're trying to actively seek funding. If for some reason bond money doesn't get allocated, we're not giving up on that project. We're going to still seek state or federal funds to do that. Pine Grove Avenue, that's a major job in this ward just due to the severity of the sinkholes, and the reason for that is the drain pipes are failing. It was a plastic product that was used widely in like the 80s through the early 2000s, and it wasn't a very good product, so it's failing. And we're actively seeking money to replace that. And as far as Public Works, they're over day-to-day maintenance with all city assets, anywhere from grass and public right-of-ways, roads, sidewalks, traffic signals, bridges, and they do that maintenance, and they sometimes lean on engineering for advice on that as well. Does anybody have any questions in reference to projects or anything that either department does?
Yeah, when you had mentioned on the first floor of the Bay Vista water well and such, because I live in the Bay Vista area, and of course, you know, the streets now are torn, you know, due to the having to pipe replacement. And eventually, when that is completed, from what I understand, they are going to, are they just going to Band-Aid patch up what's been done, or are they going to actually do a mill and replace? It would be cost effective to do that to maybe a lot of the streets that have been worked on these last couple of months.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, the initial project, the funding was just to do the water lines, so unfortunately there will be patches. There's not money in this project to go and repave the entire streets. That is something on our radar, and I'm sure Dr. Tisdale as well as Christie and council are looking for money for that, but unfortunately that's not part of this project. Yes, ma'am.
Edgewater Estates, is that all 4 streets or just the east-west view for the water line?
It's both sides of the golf course. I don't know the street names off the top of my head, but yeah, both sides. Okay, and if anybody else has questions, I can answer them after. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Appreciate that. Next, we have Chief D-Beck. How many hours have you been police chief now? He's a relatively new guy, but he's been on the department for a while, but he's your new police chief.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. So I'm going to start talking about some stats in the ward for the last quarter, and these are this quarter, which ends today, of course. Ward 5's not, you know, is doing pretty good, relatively speaking. A lot of our calls for service came from extra patrols, which is 659. That means officers are out checking businesses, homes, you know, you're on vacation, whatever, you ask for extra patrol, things of that nature. Not too many burglaries in the area, which is a good thing. A lot of medical calls, of course, and then with the mall and Walmart, of course, a lot of shopliftings in the area. That's kind of the big things on the report that I wanted to mention. I know this is hard to see, and I apologize. One of the things we talked about today with my staff is actually coming to these meetings with this kind of on a big screen. So this is a hot spot map. We used to have this, what was called crime mapping. You could go to the city website and see it, and it would tell you generally, you know, where the hotspots were for crimes or calls for service, if you will. Of course, like if you look down here at the bottom, if you can see it, there is Edgewater Mall. So there's one, it's red, and it's got a yellow circle in the middle. Of course, that's the mall. There's a lot of calls for service there as well. Might be traffic in front of it, but might actually be there on the property. But with the crime mapping program, we had to shut it down. There were some problems with it. We are looking at other programs. Those programs would give you the same access. So kind of this call for service sheet that I printed out that everybody has, along with this hotspot spot map, and you can take a look at your own neighborhood or down the road and see what's going on. The only thing I'll point out is these programs that we put, like crime mapping, it's based on calls for service. So if you call in, let's say, a lot of people call in a robbery, I was robbed. Well, it ends up being a petty larceny or a burglary. Well, forevermore stays a robbery. So that's the only problem with the programs that I have. It doesn't give the true nature of what's actually going on. So you gotta kind of take it with a grain of salt, but it gives you a good picture. Moving on from there, our staffing, we have about 184 total sworn and non-sworn right now. 123 of those are sworn officers. We're budgeted for 132 this year. So we're about 9 down. We do have 4 in the pipeline to hire. So our recruitment's really making strides to get people in the door. Like Chief Geiser mentioned, every other month they test. We test once a month. So if you know somebody, we are down some slots. We are going to be requesting. There's 15 unfunded in our budget from last year. We'll request back this year. So we will have some additional spots. We also have 1 dispatcher and 1 record slot open right now, but everything else is full. So staffing wise, we're not doing too bad. The 123, there are about 10 in training right now. So it does kind of affect our daily numbers on the road, but a lot of them are coming off here in the next couple of months and will be on their own. One of the things Councilman Tisdale wanted me to talk about was the traffic committee. What the traffic committee is we were meeting periodically, but we're going to start meeting about every other month. And our next meeting is going to be towards the end of April. We're still scheduling that. We have to publicize it and everything else. So as soon as we get that date hammered out, we'll be putting it out for everybody, whoever wants to attend. But essentially what the traffic committee does is, let's say you're having a problem. Like we talked about B-Connect, it's kind of similar. So if you're having an issue on your street, the signs are wrong, speed limit needs to be raised, lowered, in your opinion, needs to be a stop sign rather than a yield sign, needs to be a red light, whatever it is. You can send it into B-Connect, or you can send it into Craig Ross, that's C. Ross, the letter C, ROSS at biloxi.ms.us. Now he monitors both those. He does B-Connect as well. But he collects all our stuff for the traffic committee. Then when we meet, we have engineering there, public works, of course, police department, and some other Jerry Creel's office there as well. And then we talk about what the issue is and how we can best resolve it. Sometimes it involves a traffic study. For instance, the Nelson Pops Ferry intersection and everything being built over there was brought up. That's something we've been talking a lot about. And there's Jerry's right, there's a study that's going on from Nelson all the way to Pops Ferry to include the new road that Christy and her crew are working on to help figure out what we can do there instead of spending a bunch of money and it's wrong. What we can do there, what's the best way to spend money to resolve the traffic that's already a cluster in that area, especially with the new businesses going in. But I'm sorry, back to the traffic committee. So you put that in, we talk about it, figure out the best resolution. Sometimes it's, yep, let's hang that sign. Yep, let's change the speed limit, whatever it is. If it's speed bumps, the only thing I'll tell you, speed bumps, speed tables, you have to go through and get a majority of your neighborhood to sign a petition before you even put that request in. And the reason for that is because the city's put down speed bumps, which is very costly, and had to go back and take them up because the majority of the neighborhood complained about it. So, or damaged vehicles, what have you. So once you put that complaint in, once we meet about it, then you'll get a call back saying, okay, this is what we decided, this is what we're gonna do, this is what the plan is. Sometimes it is that traffic study, sometimes it's a vehicle count, let's say, along with speed. We'll hang boxes on signs and figure out, what the issue is. And which is kind of another study, but it's something that we do, the police department. And sometimes it's, hey, we just need to go write tickets. So let's talk about tickets real quick. If it's a speeding issue or people running a stop sign issue, you don't necessarily need a sign change or something like that. You can certainly call Craig, but call my department, call the police department, call my office. And what we have is what's called a traffic list that we have to rotate through because we only have so many people and there's so many miles of roads in the city. But they'll take and they'll say, okay, this week we're going to focus on this intersection, this street, whatever it is. To give you an idea, here recently, the focus was on like Ridge Avenue, which there were 2 citations issued. George Walton and Treetop, 14 citations issued. Pass and Beauvoir, 27 citations issued. And Iris and Southern, 37 citations issued. And that's just here close to Ward 5. The total citations in Ward 5 on the non-focused areas, we'll call them, was in the last quarter was 494.
Do you think you could double that number this next quarter?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And we'll be sitting on Councilman Tisdale. We know what his car is and his tag number and all that. So. But that gives you a little idea. But if you have a complaint, a traffic issue that's speeding, no stop, stop signs, whatever it is, give the police department a call. We'll put it on our list and we'll try to resolve it through enforcement action or whatever the best way is. If it's a sign issue, other issue like that, send it in to either B-Connect or Craig Ross. We'll get it on the traffic committee. That should be, we've been doing that for about 1.5 years, but it was periodically. Again, we're going to be going to about every other month here this year. So the big issue, spring break. I see everybody's looking forward to it. So, okay. So there hadn't been a lot of chatter on it, all right? And if you know about our event policy or our event ordinance, a promoter has to put in 6 months out. We've never had a spring break promoter put in. So you won't see the pop-up event, you won't see the roadside sales of t-shirts, things of that nature, because they can't get a vendor permit. You will see people. I mean, the beach is open, people can come down, enjoy Biloxi like everybody else. So without a lot of chatter, meaning we usually see it on social media and other sites, that's how we kind of gauge somewhat what's coming. We do know that there's some events that are planned in Gulfport, which usually cause us to have day traffic, and then they go to Gulfport at night. So our plan is the same as usual. We're gonna plan that 50, 60,000 people are coming. It may be 5,000 people. We've seen that before. We've seen nobody show up before. So we're gonna plan accordingly, and we're gonna staff it accordingly. For those that live in the, say west of the Coliseum on 90, we've had meetings with the new director, and he's very open, very good guy. Does anybody live here, Briarfield, Pine Grove area? All right, so he has assured us that that back gate will never be open unless it's an emergency. Okay. Emergency, of course, fire. We need to get to it. The whole building's burning down. They got to get people off the property. They got to do what they got to do. But he has assured us that will not happen again. We also talked to him. I talked to him today about, remember, in the years past, we were able to do that roadway in the back shortcut, so that you can get home off that Oakwood Drive off of Beauvoir. We're going to do that. We're going to have it set up this year. We're still working out some details, whether you'll get a placard or you'll show an ID. We'll have an officer there anyways. But we're pretty much gonna set it up, but see what happens because to be honest with you, we don't know what's gonna happen that weekend. We'll be set up and ready to go. So we'll just have to kind of play that by ear, but we do have that. We're also meeting with him as well as the people for scraping, because that's usually the only event that we can't get that road. But we're gonna try to see if they can do a little alteration so we can get it for you all. Explaining, I mean, I don't have to explain to you, you can't get home otherwise. So, but that's something we are working on. He's very open and very eager to work with us, so I expect some good things. We've also talked about some traffic plans after big concerts, things of that nature. We've also been in talks looking at what it's going to look like when the new road opens up and how we can get people in and out better. So I don't have an exact answer for you tonight. We are working on it as much as we can with him. So that's about all I have. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
I just want to thank the Biloxi Police Department. I had a trespasser at 4 o'clock in the morning, and the police officers came very promptly, very polite, checked my whole property, everything, and it was a comfort to have them be there in such a short time.
I'm glad to hear that, and thank you for sharing that with us. We do work 24/7, unlike fire department over here. Anybody else? Well, thank you for your time and happy Easter. So just to clarify, that west parking lot gate will not be opened at all unless it's emergency or like we're doing that lane for you to get home. So he has assured us that at no time he will open that, it will be locked.
I'll give you 1 minute, one whole minute to cheer. We've been working on this for 10 years.
Yes, sir.
10 years.
Absolutely.
Literally. All right. Spread the word. And then pray that they do actually do that. Okay. Let's see. So that covers everything on the agenda. I do have a question there at the bottom. Would you like to have ward meetings more than twice a year? For the past 6 years, had one in the fall, just before cruising the coast. Had one in the spring, just before spring break, because that generated the most, I guess, interest in terms of security and traffic, because if you've not been through spring break in West Biloxi, it's an adventure. It just may take you forever, depending on what time of the day you go. You go there at 9 o'clock in the morning, you can zip around and get to where you gotta go. But after 10 o'clock, from 10 o'clock till 2 in the morning, sometimes it's bumper to bumper. Any questions before we leave for the good of the order? I'll stick around after this meeting if some of you want to talk or make fun of my colleagues over there. You can't vote for them. Vote for me. Any other questions? Last thing, thank you for coming out tonight again. If you'd like to get that Ward 5 e-blast, I push it. It's just the best way to get you accurate information in a timely fashion. Just put your email address on one of the sign-in sheets over there, and I'll add you to the distribution list. Thank you for coming out tonight.